Good day, everyone. I am Michael, the moderator for this webinar.
SaaS, software as a service, is where the vendor sells you software and also sells you the hosting of that software. So this webinar describes the validation planning process with emphasis on the 6 most common pitfalls. Okay, let's go over our agenda. We're going to talk about the purpose of Part 11. Why do we have it? We're going to talk about the 6 most common problems, which data and systems are subject to both Part 11 and Annex 11. We're going to talk about all of the system features. There's currently 43 features that you want to buy and configure for Part 11 compliance. We're going to talk about what IT does. They qualify infrastructure. We're going to talk about validation. And then at the end, we're going to talk about all the SOPs with all the fill-in-the-blank templates that you're going to need to be Part 11 compliant. Part 11 is the first law that tells users have to know when the system is working right or wrong. Part 11 applies to predicate rules. What has happened since 1997? The law came out in 1997, and what happened is the FDA started their inspections. More GXP systems than ever before because people use software for everything. What I want to do now is go over the 6 most common problems. So number 1, lack of validation for all required systems. Number 2, buying software that doesn't meet the FDA requirements. Number 3, insufficient resources for validation. Number 4, lack of validation for all versions of software. Every version of software must have both prospective software validation and prospective computer system validation. Number 5, traceability between requirements, specifications, risks, which are also called hazards, and test cases. Number 6, the 6 most common problems. The last one is lack of the fundamental SOPs for what IT does, QA does, and what validation requires. I told you that GAMP is out of England, and they're an industry standards organization. So GAMP 5, the current category standard, says GAMP 1, operating systems do not require validation. Systems that don't need validation. Not every piece of software needs validation. GAMP level 2. Standard instruments, a pH meter, a barcode scanner, an RFID scanner. You don't have to do a validation, but you do need to record the configuration, and you do have to verify the operation of every device. GAMP category 3, okay? A standard software package. A standard software package is a piece of software that's used to make an application. Now, GAMP category 4 is also COTS software. It's called configurable software package. So Part 11 has an excellent return on investment. Everything about electronic records and electronic signatures is more secure, less expensive, faster, better, easier. We want to use electronic records whenever it makes sense. What does Part 11 mean? Part 11 has 4 areas of industry standards. The first area is SOP. There are 43 system features. There are 3 requirements available under Part 11. R1, user security. R2, audit trail. R3, electronic signature. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. Now, let's move into the industry standards for security. Passwords have to be complex. Passwords have to change every 90 days. Passwords are not displayed when entered. Passwords are not shared. Temporary passwords are unique. Here we have 2 inactivity timeouts. We must keep a log of all user access activity. The next one on the screen is the most important industry standard of them all. The last login is displayed to the user each time they log in. No longer can users delete data. They can inactivate data. These are the data transfer standards. Audit trails record the creation, modification, inactivation, or true deletion of electronic data. These are the audit trail standards. Now let's move into approval of electronic records. There's lots of ways to approve electronic records, but only one of the ways is non-repudiatable, and that is a Part 11 electronic signature. Don't get digital signatures confused with electronic. An electronic signature cannot be modified or copied by anyone. What is an e-signature? The meaning of the signature, known as the statement of testament, is selected by the user at the time of signing. What does their signature mean along with the date and time? Take a look at the relationship. Infrastructure qualification. There is no such thing as retrospective validation anymore. Everything is prospective. There are 2 validations. Software validation, which must be confirmed by the users. Then the users, each time a new version comes out, they have to do computer system validation. That's risk-based. That's actually performed by the users with a little bit of help from IT. So users are responsible for both validations. Now, there are 3 standard models in the world: developer validation, user validation. These 14 steps allow a company to build their own software. Let's go over developer validation. The second document is the project plan. The third document is the design specifications. The technical specification is the architecture of the software, one programmer talking to another. Number 6, build notes. Number 7, testing protocol. In number 8, the testing report. Number 9, the release notes. Now, user validation. It starts off with user requirements. And again, we know there's 3 possible requirements: R1, user security; R2, audit trails; R3, electronic signatures. Each specification, one at a time, gets run through a risk assessment. Hybrid validation is really gaining in popularity because it's so much better and more efficient and cheaper, and all the steps in the middle are just in a different order, but they're the same steps. We have to make sure we have proper operation after each change. If something goes wrong, what caused it? All changes need to be recorded, but not with the same level of detail. So for 80% of the time, it'll be a minor system change. It'll be a configuration change, a setup change, a process change, a security role change, an upgrade, or a patch. Change control protocol lists the delta, the change in requirements, the change in specifications, the change in hazards, the change in tests. A maintenance event, the first level change control, is like-for-like replacements. How to manage changes. How does hosting change anything we just covered? Hosting changes nothing. Who's got the responsibility? The regulated company has 100% of the liability. How do you do it right? You got to have and then move to environments, production and test. Annually conduct a failover test and suffer as you participate in it. Your company compliance comes exclusively from your SOPs. All control documents, SOPs, qualification documents, validation documents, are documents that have 5 things in common. They have a document ID that is unique. I like version 1 to be the first one. Some people like revision 0, some unique title, page X of Y for the number of printed pages, and either a blue ink pen for approval or an electronic signature for a validated computer system. So who needs SOPs? The regulated company needs SOPs. The software vendor needs them. They are also the SaaS provider, and they contract with a data center who also needs an SOP on training. How do you make a training record? IT, a group of people you should never get rid of. Quality assurance and change control, 2-step, which is going to be used 80% of the time. If you're in the software development business, you would do 9-step. Here's your roadmap for compliance. The key is knowing what to do. And hopefully that's what we've taught you in today's webinar. Okay, well, I want to thank you all for your participation. Thank you so much, and I wish you a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Once again, David, thank you so much. And so that does conclude the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Michael. Bye-bye.